Tēnā koutou katoa he karakia timatanga. Me mahi tahi mātou, ka kōrero, ka whakarongo, kia atawhai, kia manaki mono whānau me ngā hapori katoa. Kia rātou te tino rangatiratanga I o rātou hauora. Kia pai te taha tinana, te taha wairua, te taha whānau, me te taha hingangari hoki. Homi e hui e, pai ki e. E rau rangatira mā, e ngā reo, I ngā mana, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Ko tangata Tiriti ahau, no o te tahi ahau, he huri kaiarahi toko mahi, ko Coral Fitzgerald toko ingoa. Look, greetings everyone. Following the opening karakia, I acknowledged among us today the distinguished leaders and speakers on the kaupapa of Rongoā Māori. My name's Coral. I'm a change leader at Collaborative Aotearoa based in Christchurch and am a passionate tauiwi or non-Māori who supports Te Tiriti. I'd like to take this opportunity to warmly welcome all of you to this Collaborative Aotearoa webinar on Rongoā Māori partnering towards healthy and thriving communities. So this webinar aims to provide an introduction about how the primary and community healthcare sector can give effect to Te Tiriti o Waitangi by supporting, resourcing and empowering whānau to access the Indigenous healing practices as an option alongside Western models of medicine. Now, throughout the session, we'll open our Q&A button that you'll see to the audience. Please feel free to place your questions in there. If you see a question that you also want to hear about, please feel free to hit like, and this will help us pick the top questions to ask our panellists in the last part of the session today. So before I introduce our wonderful speakers today, my colleague Ni is in the background and will provide a link in the Q&A. And we ask if you could please take about 30 seconds of your time during this session to click on that and respond. And it will ask for what your role is and any other areas of rongoā you are interested to learn more about. And so this allows us to better understand you, our audience, your interest and the needs further on to create more opportunities into the future. So it is my absolute pleasure to welcome this afternoon's panel, and I'm so looking forward to the kōrero. We're joined today by Jolie Davis, who is Managing Director and Lead Practitioner from Manawa Ora. We have Carrie Henderson, General Manager Services of Te Awa Kairangi Health Network. Alden Paia, the Manager of Māori Health and Health Partnership at ACC. And we've also got Mātua Hone Taimona and the Wairakāhui from Taumata Rongoā at Hokianga, Hauora. So what I'd like to do to open up is to invite each panellist to introduce yourself. And I've got a bit of an opening question to lead on with that, just for a couple of minutes each, if you may. And that is, what do you think are some of the key elements to a successful partnership between Western models of healthcare and Rongoā Māori? So we'll start with you, Jolie, and let's follow that by Carrie, then Alden, and then Hone and his team. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Tēnā koe, Coral. Thank you for your invitation to be here today. I'm really excited to be on this webinar. Ko waiau, ko maunga piko te maunga, ko pārangaranga te moana, ko te reo mihi te marae, ko Ngāti Kuri te iwi, ko Ngāti Muru Kahara te hapu, he uri ahau. No Ngāti Kuri me te rarawa. I am from the far north, from Ahipara. I grew up in Ahipara. I have connections with Te Hapua, and I've grown up in a community where Rongoā Māori is normal. So kind of that's our goal here at Manawa Ora. Manawa Ora is our practice here in Wellington. I live here in Wellington now, and Manawa Ora has been established in Wellington for the last 5 years. We are the largest providers of Rongoā Māori in the Wellington region, so it's a real privilege to be serving not only our Māori community, but also our non-Māori communities, including our Pasifika whānau as well. So yes, I'm the Managing Director, founder of Manawa Ora. Did you want me to kick into what it is straight away, what Rongoā Māori is? Aye, okay. So I'm aware that there's a lot of people on this webinar that may not be familiar with Rongoā Māori, what it is. So I know we don't have much time, so I'll just keep it really basic. Basically, Rongoā Māori is all of our Indigenous Māori practices that whakapapa to this whenua, and they're ancient practices, they're thousands of years old. And we've been using rongoā all that time to maintain not only individual well-being, but also the well-being of our community, our communities here in Aotearoa as well. Unfortunately, Rongoā Māori has experienced suppression and oppression for the last 150 years. So the good news is Rongoā Māori is now making a comeback, and a lot of that is due to the hard work that ACC has done in the last 3 years. I'm also on the advisory panel to ACC, helping them to shape and implement the Rongoā Māori policy moving forward. So basically, what is Rongoā Māori? All of our traditional practices, as I've said before. There are 3 main components, but not restricted to these 3 main aspects of Rongoā Māori. I really don't like to break it down because it can tend to fragment the work that we do. And Rongoā Māori, we like to talk about Rongoā Māori in the holistic sense. So the first aspect is rongoā rākau, which is the plant medicine or the plant therapies, whether it's ingested therapies, whether they're applied to the body, therapies like poultice, so that's rongoā rākau. Donna Kerridge is one of the foremost authorities on rongoā rākau in the country right now. Miri miri and romi romi is what I specialise in, which is the physical therapy, the physical body work and the healing work that we do. So that's what I specialise in, that's what we specialise in here at Manawa Ora. And then there's also the mahia wairua, the spiritual aspect, the spiritual work that is also done under Rongoā Māori. So it's important to understand that some practitioners specialise in each aspect, and for others it's a combination of 2 or 3 or even more things that come into their practice. So it's going to look very different depending on who you talk to, who you're engaging with, and where you go in the country as well. All rohe will have the different, there is wide variety, wide variation wherever you go throughout the country. So it is mātauranga tuku iho, that is knowledge that is passed down through the generations. And many people like myself traditionally would have learned in their communities, in their whānau, with people in their whānau, or for myself, a lot of that was mentoring through other people in different settings, different environments over the years. It's not a one size fits all. There is no set pathway to becoming a practitioner as well. So that's really important to understand that Rongoā Māori has its own mana as a standalone treatment and practice. And there's a lot of misconceptions that we deal with on a daily basis as well. So as I've just explained basically what Rongoā Māori is, it's important to understand what it isn't to help you get that better understanding of Rongoā Māori and to correct the misconceptions that are out there right now. That's been a lot of the work that we often have to do as kaitiaki of Rongoā Māori, as practitioners of Rongoā Māori. It's explaining what it is, but also correcting, busting myths out there about Rongoā Māori as well. So the first thing is, it's not just plant or herbal medicine. It's not just another service. What we do, miri miri and romi romi particularly, is not just massage. A lot of people think of miri miri and they think of massage, but actually miri miri is way more than that. It's not a menu of separate activities that you can choose from either. It's not a nice kind of, I'd like to have it a nice well-being treat that we give ourselves either. This is healing practice. And probably the most important thing is that we don't think of it as alternative or complementary medicine or therapies either. Rongoā Māori is not alternative to anything. It is standalone and it carries its own mana. So I think that's basically it. Kia ora.
Kia ora. No, that's a fabulous introduction to this webinar and a bit about the little bit of the whakapapa and what is rongoā. So thank you for that, Jolie. Wondering if we, Carrie, it'd be great to go to you to do a bit of an introduction. And also, let's lean into the question I had for you, which was describing how you came to explore Rongoā Māori to be considered by the PHO, and what was your approach? Kia ora.
Kia ora koro. Thank you for the invitation. Kia ora everyone. My name's Carrie Henderson. I'm General Manager for Services at Te Waitangi Health Network. I am from Scotland originally, and I have lived in New Zealand for about 14 years. I'm an occupational therapist by background, and I do think that has a bearing on some of the work that I'm doing now, because the focus on holistic treatment, well-being, and focus on the whole person is something that is fundamental in occupational therapy, and I have carried with me throughout my career. So today, as Coral mentioned, I have the pleasure of talking about the partnership that we have with Rongoā, and it is a pleasure, and it is really one of the easiest partnerships I've ever had, to be honest. Just by way of background, as Coral mentioned, we started looking at different options, particularly for our mental health clients. Our focus was very much originally on working with our clients who use our primary mental health services. And as Julie mentioned, we are fortunate to have Rongoā here in the Wellington region as an established provider. So it was an easy leap to move forward and to reach out to Julie. But equally, it was a bit of a leap of faith on her part we're a mainstream organisation, to connect with us and to say, what can we do together, and how would this working in partnership to deliver to our community? So we very much went into the partnership thinking about what are the principles we're going to use to work together, and thinking about it as a relationship rather than being transactional. We were interested in how can we support each other for the good of what we're both trying to achieve. So there is an element of strategic alignment. We spent quite a bit of time thinking about the different organisations we come from, thinking about the different knowledge that we bring to the partnership. And I think that's important, and probably I would put on one of my top tips was about being open-minded and thinking about what is the direction of each organisation and how can you support each other to achieve that going forward. I thought it might be useful just to do some thinking about some of the practical parts of our partnership, which I thought might be useful. So things like comms, for example, we write all of our comms together, we review everything together before anything goes out, and we make joint decisions. So that means when opportunities come along, or when we want to look at a different way of delivering service, we talk together. So we have lunch, we have a coffee, and we make those decisions together, rather than one of us taking the lead and the other one following behind. And that's been really important, because it's allowed us to do that with any curly questions that we might have had from different people within our area. We've worked through what is our answer together that we can both stand behind. So I think that's really important. I've mentioned knowledge, and I think it's important because Julie and I feel that we both bring complementary knowledge to our partnership. So the knowledge around Rongoā Māori and the whakapapa sits with Jolie, and so she is the expert in that area. And what I can bring to the partnership is connections and networks and the process and how to bring this forward in a mainstream organisation. And we found that really complementary and being able to acknowledge that in each other. We generally support each other in terms of more than just the work on Rongoā Māori. For example, hopefully Julie doesn't mind me saying, they were looking at a new data platform, for example, which is infrastructure to us delivering the service, but we worked together on that. We brought in our data team within our PHO to be able to support Julie. So it was about sharing more than just our individual knowledge. It was about the breadth of what we could share from that perspective. The other part of our partnership is it didn't have one work stream. We ended up creating a partnership that has 4 different work streams, which talk to the direction of travel for us as organisations. So one of those, and Julie has touched on this, is about raising awareness. So we have a process of running workshops and awareness raising sessions with our clinical staff, with our staff in our general practices, with our staff in our primary mental health services, so that we can do, just as Julie said, try to make sure that everyone knows exactly what Rongoā Māori is. We also run community-based clinics. So we do a pop-up. Julie and her team go out to different community parts of our Hutt Valley, and they deliver clinics out to the population. Anyone and everyone can attend that. And again, that grows awareness. We also have focused individual sessions for our clients in our mental health pathway and many of our other contracts. So it means that we can say to someone, if you would like to access this, and this is something that would help you on your journey alongside your face-to-face counselling, then we can fund that for you. And that's been a huge thing for our community. And lastly, and again, I think Jolie touched on this, is how do we sustain the workforce? So Jolie mentioned there is no set pathway. So we've also set up a scholarship fund to support people to move through training and working in that way. And again, this is a good example of who has the expertise for that. And it sits with Jolie. So the fund is there, but how she uses the fund is Jolie's choice rather than coming through a committee. She's the best person to decide who might have talent in this area and who we want to grow in that direction. So essentially, we've ended up in a situation where we're quite comfortable talking about difficult questions, we're comfortable with our referrals, and we actually did this quite quickly. Our partnership is quite young. We haven't worked together for a year yet. So we started our conversations in October of 23, and we were fully functional with all those work streams by December. So we did get on and get going. And I think that's another tip to the partnership is we just started. We just started doing something and had a look at what happened and adjusted our course as we needed to. We didn't get hung up on barriers and setting it in a set way. We just started working together and saw what happened. I think I might leave it there, Coral, to move on to some of the others.
Kia ora, Kerry. That was fantastic. And I think for me, before we move on to Eldon, just a couple of things to highlight there. I think it just highlights, as we all know, the absolute importance. Relationships are everything, right? And so investing in that to build a collaboration between Te Awa Kairangi and Manawa Ora, and having that approach of I believe it's mā koha koha, or open-mindedness, to learn from each other, I think is incredibly important. So yeah, I think what you have in that area is a really significant wero or challenge for other PHOs and providers across Aotearoa to lean into your approaches, your learnings and your celebrations moving forward. So kia ora for that. We'll come back to you both shortly. Eldon, lovely to have you here and to want really to hear a little bit more about the key insights ACC have gathered since establishing the Rongoā Māori Wellbeing as an available health service for rehab. So yeah, love to hear about that after your intro. Kia ora.
Tēnā koe, Coral, tā tātou pāwhakoeroa I tēnei hui, tēnei te mihi ki a koe mō tēnā. O te rā e ngā mātanga rongoā, ngā tohunga, ngā rangatira, kei wainganui a mātou, ko hui mai nei a hui topa, tēnei te mihi ki a koutou, ko Waiau, ko Aorampai tuku ingoa, he uri ahau no Ngāpuhi, no Taitanga Hauati, Ngāti Parau, Ngāti Rākau Pāka, Ngāti Rongomai Wahine, Ngāti Kahununu, Moriori hoki. Engari te paki au ki te rohe o te iwi o tō rangati. Head of Māori Health Partnerships here at ACC. If you know the whakatau ki ko te amorangi ki mua ko te hapai ko te amorangi ki mua ko te hapai o ki muri. If you look at Rongoā as the front, centre, delivering services, we're in the back looking to enable it. So yeah, just a little bit of background of the mahi that we do. I'm just going to share screen if you can all see that. But yeah, ACC, we're in the business of preventing injuries and also trying to get you better. If you have an accident that causes injury. We know that through our data, Māori are less likely to access the very services that they're entitled to. Also, they show up quite significantly in some of our injury areas. For instance, serious injuries is one where, although our population is about 17% of the population, we come at about 34%, so it's sort of double. And it's the same or similar to sensitive claims, and those sensitive claims are survivors of sexual violence. So when we're trying to look at how we can improve the access barriers, ensuring they have a good experience when they receive ACC services, what we've noticed is that when we did surveys to Māori in regards to what would help us deliver better, 2019, we did a survey where over 80% of Māori felt that rongoā be an option as part of their pathway of care. And so from 2019, ACC looked at how we could better establish it. Many business units, ACC's tried in the past, and also other government agencies have tried to really embed it, enable it. But just one of your queries, Coral, was, how do we partner better, and what is the difference between mātauranga Māori and Western medical knowledge? What we've found is there are differences, and we just have to acknowledge that and celebrate that. But together, we're all trying to achieve the same purpose, which is, kia piki a ki te oranga o ngā tangata, or improving the well-being of our people. And so to be able to do that, we really try to honour Te Tiriti o Waitangi and really partner with the community. Also, we wanted to adhere to the advice or the assertions given by the Waitangi Tribunal to ensure that we truly partner with Māori to support rongoā. And to do that, we had to work together. And so part of the foundational pieces as to the success of why rongoā has been enabled within ACC is to really reach out to the rongoā community and ask for their support in how we do this. So as Jolie's highlighted, we established a rongoā advisory panel made up of mātanga rongoā or rongoā experts and tohunga to be able to help ensure that any decision that's made to do with the rongoā is made with the rongoā community, and the panel members represent those communities. We also needed to ensure that we established a good registration process, and we reached out for their advice in regards to how we do that. And so the way we register rongoā practitioners is that we ensure that mana whenua endorse them, and also tohunga also endorse them, and we also get police vetting. And that's because there's no governing body ensuring that we have that sort of standard. The other thing that we do is we ensure that there's at least 5 years experience. And so it's quite a high standard, but we're happy to report that we now have over 216 rongoā practitioners. They live in both rural and urban communities from Kaitaia all the way down to Stewart Island. They are at times the first point of contact, especially in communities where there are no health services. They provide that holistic view that Jolie has mentioned, and it's really been quite attractive. So we enabled it back in June 2020. Since then, the demand for rongoā has doubled each year. We have now had over 11,000 of our kiritaki, or our clients, that have chosen rongoā. When we first established it, it was in high demand by Māori. But what we've noticed is that when you provide another option to all, more non-Māori have chosen rongoā. And so now we sit at about 58% of people accessing rongoā are Māori, 42% are non-Māori. And when you ask the non-Māori as to why are they choosing rongoā, for many of them, it's that holistic approach. It's not about just addressing the injury, but acknowledging that the injury is part of the whole person. And creating a platform where your hinengaro and your wairua and your whānau are all settled, it creates a good platform for your tinana to heal. And so it's those kind of things that we're receiving in regards to feedback. The other thing is when we're delivering the service, it's a fee-for-service approach. So anytime you choose rongoā, then the rongoā practitioner that's registered with us is able to bill. And so when we talk about 13 million invested, this is because of the demand of rongoā. And the good thing about our rongoā practitioners, if we were to talk about the economic side of things, is they don't live overseas. Money isn't going overseas. It's actually flowing back into our community. So from an economic perspective, it's benefiting our whānau. The other thing is we realised is that rongoā is not just to help those that are injured. It's also something that can just help with maintenance and well-being of whānau. And so we enabled it to help support our staff. What we've found is that ever since we enabled it, which was only 2 years ago, over 400 of our staff had chosen rongoā in regards to helping them with their own support. And then just the other thing that I just want to highlight is how do we know if rongoā is helping? Well, we are, since the last 4 years, we are receiving more and more feedback, and whānau happy to report it's definitely overwhelmingly quite positive. As you can see in those little bubbles, that those are just some small feedback from our whānau in regards to how they're experiencing rongoā. But we did actively go out to survey those that have received rongoā via ACC's rongoā practitioners just recently, and what we found is over 87% have said that it has provided a good experience. They're satisfied with that, and then the other thing is that 89% have said it has helped with their outcomes. And so if you ask what are we trying to and to see how it can help improve our access, experience and outcomes for Māori. And one thing we know is that rongoā has been able to help us and help support us in that space. So, kia ora.
Kia ora, Eldon. That was fantastic. And I think a couple of things to highlight. I love the fact that, as you mentioned, 216 practitioners across Aotearoa. And my understanding is that the list of ACC registered rongoā practitioners are available on the Health Point website if people are interested to look at that. And also there seems to be, I know of a number of sectors now that are including under their employment assistance program or EAP, rongoā has been added as one of those approaches, which is amazing. It's fantastic. Thank you. Kia ora. Now, kia ora, the fabulous team with Mātua Hone there at Hokianga. Kia ora. Over to you. Just need to unmute yourselves. Would love to hear a little bit about your work at Hokianga Hauora. And yeah, tell us a little bit about your relationship with the rest of the services available there. Kia ora.
Te tuatahi rā tēnei rā ka mihi ake ki tēnei momo hui, tēnei momo kaupapa, me whakahui a tāte, whakahui katoa i ngā hunga ka tūhono mai ki tēnei whakātura ngā kōrero. Ko mātou tēnei roto o Hokianga, ko i tēnei tō mātou huipere tūnei, te malai o te huipere, ko i tēnei tō mātou pau, ka tuku mātou ngā kaupapa rongoā, ka mahi rongoā mātou kone anō roto i ngā pāti o te whare, ka tikai tū mātou rongoā, ki roto i wa mātou ala rongoā kei waho nei i tō hoipere, i rua te whenua tō hoipere, no le ko mātou rā tēnei te nuinga o ngā kanuhi o ngā pau rongoā o tā mātou kaupapa a taumata rongoā i roto o Hauora Hokianga. I te tuatahi rā, he nui ngā taimahatanga o te wā. I te wā nei, pēhi nei mātou ngā taimahatanga o tēnei me te mate. Tōrera, koia Rongoā Māori ke tino whakariri mali ka te tahi kouwhau kōrero kia koutou. Nā lungano i rā tainga hatanga o te wā. Ka hihia Māori te tuku i te reo mihi, ki runga ki te kaumātua, ki te matua, ki te rangatira. Ka mute he tohunga anō, kua riro i roto i ngā rātata nei, ia Billy, te hua. Ko Billy anō, ona ringa i hāpai, i whakaako, i tohu. Wetahi wa mātou paurongo ki roto tō mātou rōpū, i runga i te ara, whakapiki i te mātou ranga mo tiri me te rongoā, ngā tikanga, ngā kaupapa, whakaora wa tātou mātua tātou tupu. Nō rere ka nui te mihi ki te rahunga, o tātou mātua ngā whakatupuranga mua rāno, tā mai ki a tātou roti te rānei, e whakawaha nei tātou, ngā tikanga, ngā kaupapa tātou mātua. Ngā tiranga mihi ki a rātou. Very much welcome and very much glad. It's just this morning that we got our new TV here. So we are very much new to this experience of having a hui, having a wānanga, using te reo irirangi, ka muite ko te ara ki te rangi, to be able to connect us all. And our practice is a practice that has been generated from within the walls of the hospital itself, from the need, from the concerns, and from the klanga of our people from back home inside Hokianga itself, from our marae, from our multiple hapu areas and kaumātua, and also from the visions of the past, of how important our cultural knowledge, our cultural understanding, our cultural connectiveness is very much and will always be relevant to us today, for our generations and for the next generations coming forward. By being within our hospital walls, which is a community-owned hospital space, it is very much a sign of our hospital and our people joining these worlds that we talk about, the understanding that our life force is more than just what a certain line of connection with regards to health and well-being coming from the Pākehā side, may I say, but also being able to very much link into and acknowledge the strength, the power and the enhancement that we have within Rongoā itself, but also with many tikanga realms that is connected to everything, from the creation stories to our conception, to our birth, to our transitioning through life and beyond life itself. So our taumata Rongoā team, my name is Rohe Taimana, and I'm part of a team. And we also, like yourselves, part of a movement of making change in there. And the change, of course, starts within ourselves and those that we have relationships with, and it continues forward. So I'll kahuri te reo kōrero ki wāku timo tangata. These are the most important people within our movement that we have created and that we are constantly creating, rediscovering, enhancing the aspects of te mana kei roto I tēnei mea, te kāhui wahine me te mana ano kei roto I tēnei me te kāhui tāne. Ke hono ngā tahi ai, hei aha, hei tuku I te oranga, ka puta, ka huake, ki runga ki te iwi. Kore ka tukuna kia koe, whai.
Kia ora, ko whai tōku ingoa, ko whai mai tōku ingoa. No tai rāwhate, no whakatohia, no mani o whoto ahau. No reira, noho ana kia o manaia an hokianga, taku tāne hone.
Kia ora whānau, I'm Liza Duffy, and I'm from Whiranaki, Pangaru, and Rangi Point, and I'm a Paurongoā at Taumata Rongoā.
Kia ora, ngā mihi nui kia tātou katoa, ko kataraina wihongi tāku ingoa, no ngā puhi, no ngā tihine ahau, no te taha o ngā tīpine henare ahau, he nāhi ahau I roto I tēnei hoki pere, I roto I te kāhui pauronga e mahi ana I tēnei wā.
Tēnā koe kataraina.
Kia ora whānau, ko Samantha Broad tōku ingoa. I'm from Tirangi Nui, Ngāpui and Tainui. And I'm a Paurongoā at Taumata Rongoā as well.
And of course, with our whakapapa ties, everyone has married into each other. So we're very, very much connected. With regards, with regards to taumata rongoā, that we've had a past with many struggles, yeah, but at the same time with many successes. Exactly how youth have come together, waiting with the McCarry and also Jolie, how youth have walked together, worked together, and become one. That's the same pathway that we are constantly walking into, that light, that strength, and that power as such to serve our people. Our past has been, and our present, I must talk about the present much more powerful than the past, as in our people have come forward and they have been able to enhance our knowledge from the past and to bring it together and to share that knowledge and to be able to provide a rongoā service, a healing service, a tikanga service to our people back home that is relevant to our tikanga and our reo and our concepts from back inside Hokianga here. Ta taha ki a ngā puhi, me ta taha ki te rarawa, me ta taha ki te roroa, ko i tere ngā iwi nui kei rote tō mātou kāinga, i rote Hokianga, ko i tere ko te iwi e noho papa kāinga nei, i ngā taha katoa, i ngā wāhe katoa rote Hokianga. So we have very much been able to activate strong, not only kōrero and historical knowledge from the past, but to bring it into the future, and at the same time to honor it and to pass and share that with all of our relations that come into our presence or when we go into their presence as such. We work closely with our clinical staff within the hospital realms and also with the many other services that our Hauora Hokianga hospital provides within our community. And we also work with a collectiveness within the Taitokara region itself, with the Kāhui Rongoā team, with Tohe Ashby Ma, with Teresa Hart Ma, with our hospital i roto I te Taitokara, te taha ki te Whatiora, ko te Pautoko Manawa. So many arms and many voices have been able to support the work that we're doing, and at the same time we support the work that others are doing at this present moment. We have a reculturalization of our hospital grounds, where we have very much our expert people who know how to activate, and so that people can see our true connections to the Taiao. Ki te rangi, ki te whenua, ki te moana, ki te awa, I te pō, te taha ki ngā whetū, te rangi, ka muti me te awa, te tango, te rangi, and all of those connections. So we are within the realms, we can say, of being traditionalized, is that a word?
Yes, now.
And to be ourselves, to be really connected and to be humble at the same time of the power that we have. The power that we have. And pass some call on to our inga paurongo. He aha ke tā.
No. Yeah, I suppose that for us as paurongoa here and starting at the grassroots levels, we came into this kaupapa with as a voluntary service that went on for a couple of years, and then when COVID hit, we were able to utilise knowledge that we had in creating rongoā through using rākau, and that kind of expanded from there, and from there we were able to secure be part of a pilot in Taitokara and be supported to continue for a year with some funding, which allowed us to be able to train people into their mahi too. So at the same time, we were able to secure someone who was expert in native plants and growing plants, and like Hune was talking about the rongoā, and that's grown to the point it has become our pharmacy. So we've been really fortunate to be inside of the hoipere as well, and a lot of the hoipere staff have come along with this our movement as well, and they support quite well. But it's just still having the struggles with the I guess the logical earth type thinking that comes from processes, procedures, policies to where we work in the elements of the wairua. So a lot of things that don't make sense to people that everything has to make sense to. There is definitely that's where the struggle I think lies. If we were to have a little bit more trust in how we're able to develop this service, because it's not the same as every other service, then it would have probably expanded like a quite a lot by now. But we are still able to progress, and we are still moving forward, and we are still having to constantly explain ourselves. But it is happening. Movement is happening, so that's the main thing. And we have support. So kia ora.
We also would like to acknowledge Te Aka Whaiora and the Whatuora with our past government, and with that kōkiri of being able to open up resources and to acknowledge the power and the empowerment within Rongoā itself, but also within tikanga realms and kaupapa realms within what we perceive to be a whānau system, a Malay system, a iwi system, a hapu system that are still alive today in Hokianga. Within our hospital area, we've got over 36 Malay, multiple hapu. So there is a huge expectation that our hospital is very much in line with our cultural activities, our cultural knowledge from back home. And Rongoā itself is so strong, so powerful. And it's great to hear the movements in every area. Sometimes we isolate ourselves by not being connected into this big, huge system here, what's this TV system, but now we're connected. It's unbelievable.
Kia ora. That's one of these things that this is, as I mentioned earlier, we're hoping this is the first of a number of engagements that we hold where people who have a curiosity and have that open-mindedness to explore some other approaches to supporting our community for their hauora needs. We'd love to be able to host things like this going forward. So yes, let this be the first of many. Kia ora, team. I'm just aware of the time, and I've got a couple of key questions I'd love to open up to all of you to respond to. One of the things that I've heard in one way or another from all of you is around this pātai or question, but how do you see Rongoā improve health equity for people across Aotearoa?
Okay, I'll go first if you like. How does it improve health equity? Well, we know that Rongoā Māori works. We know that it works. First of all, mihi atu ki te whānau, and you guys in the Hokianga. Is it Hokianga?
What?
Yay! Oh man, really heartening to hear that there's initiatives out there where mainstream health and Rongoā, partnering up a small rural hospital, and I'm really, really encouraged by that. It's wonderful to hear the work, the mahi that's carrying on up there, and the support that you have within the hospital to make Rongoā accessible to our whānau. So mihi atu kia koutou. So the first thing is that Rongoā Māori works, and we know this because we're seeing it every day, nera. We're seeing our whānau coming through, often they're at the end of they're desperate to try something, to find something that's working for them. They've tried lots of mainstream modalities, and we had an example of a wahine who accessed our service. She had a knee injury that was going on for 2 years. She's hobbling around on crutches for 2 years. She came to us for 3 sessions of miri. Went back to her surgeon, and her surgeon was like, what's happened here? There's no longer impingement in your knee. We can take you off the waiting list for knee surgery. So one instance of where we have saved the mainstream health system, I don't know how much a knee surgery is, like 30K with 3 hours treatment. And we have many examples of that happening, not only physical injury, but anxiety, depression, mental, emotional distress. We are getting whānau off that roundabout and back into the driver's seat where they're starting to take control. So that's the first thing. It works for our whānau. No mind trying to figure out how. Just take our word. This is working for our whānau. It really does work, and it's been working for thousands of years before colonization. This was what we used to keep ourselves and our communities well. The second thing is there's currently a lack of trust in mainstream health system. So a lot of our whānau are turning away, or they're not engaging with. Why? Because they don't feel safe. They don't feel seen. They don't feel heard. So what's the point of them engaging in a system where they, there's issues of cultural safety. They're not feeling like there's their spiritual, the te taha wairua isn't being acknowledged. They're not feeling like culturally it's a safe place to engage. So there's no way that you can help someone who is closed off, who is not open to engaging. And so many people, when they come to us to our whare hauora, they always say, man, I feel safe in this space. Safe how? Safe to be Māori. And there's not many spaces out there where people can be safe to be who they are. So once we have that hononga, then it's much easier to work on someone. They're going to listen to us, they're going to take our advice, and they're going to respond and be responsive to the treatment that we're doing in our whare. And the third goal that's really important is that our goal is to empower people, right? So it goes against our tikanga to create dependency. We're actually not allowed to do that as rongoā practitioners. We are not allowed to create dependency. If people keep coming back again and again and they're not getting better, then we take a good hard look at ourselves and say, what are we doing wrong? Or what are we not seeing here that needs to be addressed? So our job as rongoā practitioners is not just to get them well, but it's rangatiratanga. Get them back in the driver's seat, get them back reclaiming their mana, back in the driver's seat, and taking control of their well-being and their life from then on, not just their own well-being, but that of their whānau. Yeah, that's it from me. I said enough.
He kōrero. I just like to mihi to Kerry about when you're speaking about mental health. What it was, it's you've got to listen. You've got to listen to her wairua. You've got to listen to her mauri. You've got to listen to her karanga. And so that it is holistic. It is holistic. You have to remember all the waiata. Just ata noho. You don't come in with a place that's gonna kohau te rangatira mo tēnei. You got to go in with a hu Māori te āhua, ne? Hu Māori te āhua, taking your waiata, taking your, by your side, ata mirimiri, ata mirimiri, ata miri, ka tai mai te kōrero. Then she will talk. Then she will talk. I mean, people will think, oh, ko tino ware o pōrangi, ne? But when you hear it in your own wairua, kaore he pōrangi. Kaore he pōrangi. Bringing, calling the rākau from around our whenua, calling in the puhutikawa, ne? Calling in the awa. We're blessed here in Hokianga. We have the awa on the side of our hohipere, just calling in all of those elements to awhi. And so I guess what I'm saying is that you've actually got to stand for the things that are within your heart to do. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora, if I just add tāpiri to the kōrero. So the word health inequities gets thrown around as a general statement for many things. We like to break it down to what those actual inequities are. Some of the inequities have been highlighted. Do we have a familiar face? Is there someone that understands my ao or my world? Those are the things that are stopping people from accessing the services. Also, rural communities don't always have a health service or a health system that's present. What we've found as we've enabled Rongoā since 2020, we've found that Rongoā has provided that familiar face, that understanding of cultural safety, that understanding of te ao Māori, tikanga Māori. They don't all live in the city, our Rongoā practitioners. They live in rural communities, and as I mentioned before, sometimes they are the first access to the health system, the gateway, and for some, it has enabled them to re-engage with the health system. They have given up with the health system in the past, but because of Rongoā, they have now re-engaged back into the health system. So here's just a few examples. If we were to break down health inequities, you know, they are addressing many things. There's a long list, whānau, but if we look at attacking them, Rongoā is one of the services that are really helping in many different ways for the benefit of the health service and the health system. Yeah.
Awesome, kia ora. And Eldon, you may be able to help. There's a question that's come through to say, really keen to hear about supporting our clients to access the services both through ACC and non-ACC pathways. Are you able to provide some insight to that?
Yeah, so I probably won't be able to talk about the non-ACC pathways, but definitely the ACC pathways. As I mentioned, our key area is to get you better if you have an accident that causes an injury. And so for us, it's about making sure you have an active claim. And so you can reach out to your treatment provider to get a claim, and then after which just speak to ACC and request Rongoā, and then ACC will be able to make sure that that's part of your pathway of care. One of the key things that on our website, we don't dictate which Rongoā practitioner you should go to, but on our website, they're sort of done in locations or rohe areas. And so, and our website's getting better, and we've connected with HealthPoint. That's been really awesome to help flesh out a bit more meat, not just their name and their phone number, but also about who they are and their services and the modalities or the types of strengths that they provide. And so our kiritaki or our clients can do their own sort of rangahau or research in regards to what provider or which Rongoā practitioner they want to receive their services from, and then they'll be able to access it.
Kia ora. I'm very aware of the time. Gosh, we could speak for hours, couldn't we? This is we're just getting into the meat of things. I must say, also just on the ACC website, there is also a number of resources from the recent inaugural conference that ACC sponsored on Rongoā Māori that happened early in the year at Rotorua. So feel free to go onto that website and you'll see some recordings and some resources there from some of the spectacular speakers from that event. So we're a couple of minutes from closing. I'm just wondering if there's, I've just got a couple of things to cover at the end, but for the last minute, is there some final beautiful pieces of taonga to share from any of the speakers before we head into the closing process?
Well, I'll go first, so that way the rest have to hurry up and finish the time. But probably just the key thing for me is that it's really important that both worlds rāranga together, meet together, collaborate for the health practitioners that are online. Try and learn and understand what Rongoā is, because we believe that if we gain a better understanding of Rongoā, our health system will be better for it. Kia ora.
Tautoko, Eldon, our health system needs to respond to the needs and aspirations of Māori. And if there are PHOs or other organisations out there that are looking to partner with Rongoā Māori practitioners or organisations, my advice would be to do exactly that, partner with them. Meet with Rongoā practitioners wherever they are, allow them to practice where, how they choose to practice, and allow Rongoā practitioners to lead out. The last thing we want to do is for our practice to try and assimilate our practice into your organisation or your Western philosophy of what health and well-being means to you. Actually, we have our own tikanga, our own mātauranga, and and just a mihi to carry. I mean, we have an amazing partnership where she actually allows us to do that. She allows manawa ora. We just do what we do, and she does what she does. And when I need help with logistics, or I need support with networks, or how do we do this, you know, she gives us that support. So it's a very good partnership, and it's a very easy partnership. That's the other thing. If it gets too hard and it gets too difficult, well, it ain't working. And you need to have a kōrero and have a hui about how we can reduce the barriers so that our whānau can access it. At the end of the day, this is what we're all looking for. How do we make this more accessible to our whānau, get past all the politics and all the logistics and all the red tape, and just make it happen? So kia ora.
Ngā kia ora. I was just going to lean into one of the comments Mātua Hone said in Aroha Mai, if I didn't get this quite correct, but our life force is more than a westernised view of health and well-being. And I think that's for me, that's a cornerstone of where this mahi can continue to grow, to help bridge the gap between te ao Māori and te ao Pākehā when it comes to health and well-being. So I just want to take the opportunity, we'll be collating any other questions that come through on this chat and share these to the group for responding to, and it'll be available on our website after this. You'll be able to access the recording of this event by the end of the week. Just jump onto our website, which is www.colab.org.nz, and search for the webinar tab, and we'll post those responses to your pātai on our tab, which is Model of Care, and then Te Tiriti o Waitangi. So before I close with karakia, I want to take the opportunity to thank our wonderful panellists today. What a rich conversation we've had. And as I said, I hope this will continue into the future. I also wish to thank all of you either jumping on this webinar live or watching it for the recording for your interest in this kaupapa of Rongoā Māori and its value in health and wellbeing for Aotearoa. Kia ora. He karakia whakamūtanga koutou. Ko wānanga mātou, kia whakāria te tapu, kia wātia ai te ara, kia tūriki whakataha ai, kia tūriki whakataha ai. Haumie, huie, tai kie. Ka kite koutou.
Ka kite anō.